All right, guys, what's going on? Well, I had a lot of people leaving comments about my last video telling me that, Andy did do an interview recently and to go listen to it. So I did go listen to it, and this is my response basically to the interview Andy Bernard gave. Okay. And I'm just going to make this quick. I'm just going to make this quick. And I guess they're going to do maybe a part two to this interview. Maybe because people are going to call out stuff or say this and say that about the interview, which is what I'm going to do, basically. So let old Don B tell you what he thought about the interview. So as I'm sitting there listening, Andy starts talking about, he worked at Hayworth Tire, and talking about the day that Summer went missing. He was at work and all this stuff. But then he starts talking about Hunter and some of his family members going down to Hayworth Tire. Now y'all wanna pay special attention to this video here, because I know a lot that y'all may not have heard or forgotten about. Like I did speak to Andy B a long time ago. He may not remember it, because we'll just say he may not remember it. But I did talk to him. But anyway, Andy was talking. I found it very suspicious. We'll just say suspicious that Hunter and his family was going down to Hayworth Tire. Okay. What was being sold down there at Hayworth Tire besides tires? We'll just leave it at that. I just find it, out of all the people in Kingsport, it's odd how Hunter and his family members go down to Hayworth Tire where Andy B is working. You know what I mean? All right, so the other thing that I question, and I noticed this, and y'all probably picked up on it too. But when the question was asked to him, were you, about the sedatives, right? Well, Andy B was quick to say no, he don't know Brandon Lawson later on in the interview. But when asked about the sedatives, it's a straight yes or no answer, right? And he says something about, now tell me, what would be a sedative? A Valium, this, that. He all he had to say was no. I did not sell Dawn and Candace anything that would be a sedative or anything like that. But his answer to that question was not a yes or no, but he asked a question when given a question. Tell me what a sedative is. All you had to say, dude, was yes or no, which is kind of suspicious to me, okay? Again, that's suspicious to me. And when confronted about, the problems with, him and Jody Sue, I will go on record and tell you that, I've worked around, I worked for someone who was on crack cocaine. Okay. And this person would nicest person you could ever meet when not on drugs. And sometimes the nicest person you'd ever meet when on drugs. But when he was coming off of them, okay, I think it was when he was coming off of it, in between hits, he became really agitated, almost to the point of being violent. He would kick stuff, cusses. We ultimately left. I recorded him throwing his fit one day and kicking stuff and threatening us. And we went to the unemployment office and let the unemployment office hear how he treated us the day that we quit. And she looked at us, me and my coworker, and she said, after about 20 seconds of it, she goes, "You don't need to play anymore. Your unemployment's approved." So I believe, in my opinion, there was more than just weed involved with Andy B. And I believe there was more than just weed involved that caused, in my opinion, the bad relationship with his, with Jody Sue and their daughter, his daughter. I have firsthand experience in dealing with how crack makes people act when they're coming down off of it. See, weed don't do that to you, right? Weed don't make you violent, agitated when you're coming down off of it. And when asked if he, about the whole issue about the dream and the whole thing there with his daughter, he kind of danced around that. Did y'all notice that? He kind of danced around that. And let me tell you, he said something about order of protection was taken out on him by Jody Sue, I guess. And what happens in those is, you go to court, the person taking out the order of protection says their piece. The person, possibly getting the order of protection can say their piece. Each party has to prove their point to the judge. And see, old Don B's been through this with Candace Bly. And old Candace Bly, when, she didn't really go before the judge. I mean, the judge had everything basically in front of him. And it was basically, once my part was said to the judge, he already had Candace's, and the judge says, I'm sorry, but based on the information that I have here, I see no grounds for an order of protection, and he told her to keep the YouTube shit out of his courtroom. Candace turned around, walked out, pissed off, bigger than shit, and left her Yee-hoo, was it Kathy? Left her Yee-hoo Kathy in the courtroom by herself. Huh. Yeah. Some friend Candace was. Huh. But point being is, Jody Sue said her piece and Andy proved his piece, and the judge, heard both sides, seen the evidence presented to him from both sides, and he still issued the order of protection. That tells me that there was something there for the judge to go, okay, yeah, this can be, that this needs to be in place, basically. So it tells me Jody Sue had a stronger case against Andy than Andy had defending himself. That's what that tells me. if the order of protection was issued. Like, you know, Andy kind of made it sound like he had an order of protection against him or something like that. So Jody Sue must have had some pretty outstanding evidence against him. Okay. And again, I don't think it was just weed that was causing the problems in and around 110 Ben Hill Road and at 125 Ben Hill Road. I don't think it was just weed, Andy. I don't think it was just weed. Of course, that's just my opinion. And you may not remember talking to me, but you were pretty agitated when I talked to you over the phone. Pretty agitated. Sound like you might have even been slinging shit. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my opinion on the interview. That's my opinion. Seems like he hauled around a bunch of questions that was asked to him. Didn't give a direct yes or no answer to it. Maybe on part 2 he can give more yes or no answers to the questions. You know what I mean? You know, like the sedatives or whatever would be considered a sedative being sold. Now, he did say no, he was not selling them to the children. Now, I did get that part. But Jody Sue said he was selling it to Don and Candace for the children. For the children. Now, Andy may not have known Don and Candace was using that for the children, but I also don't believe, in my opinion, he was just selling weed, in my opinion. And we'll leave it at that until, I guess, part 2 comes out or whatever. Yeah, you know, from my experience with crack, seeing people on it, seeing how they treat people on it, in my opinion, I don't think weed was the problem between Jody Sue and Andy. I don't think weed was the ultimate. I don't think weed had anything to do with Andy taking off when Summer got gone. I think there's more to it that's not being said. And of course, you know, hey, what's that old saying? Because if law enforcement's listening to this, you know, what you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. So maybe that's not being thought about here. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm sure I will.